Texas, our Texas. All hail our mighty state. Texas, our Texas. So wonderful, so great, boldest and grandest, withstanding every test. O empire wide and glorious, you stand supremely blessed. God bless you, Texas, and keep you brave and strong, so that you may grow in power and worth throughout the ages long. God bless you, Texas, and keep you brave and strong, so that you may grow in power and worth throughout the ages long. That's the state song of the Lone Star State. But when you think about those words, how do we protect those words? How do we secure those words? How do we ensure and guarantee those words for future generations of Texans? We do that by one single word, and that's legacy. Why is a guy born in Georgia and went to the University of Tennessee so passionate about the great state of Texas? Well, think about some other people who came from Georgia some time ago, that even though those words were not written, they would leave an imprint on the history of Texas to ensure those words would be written. Men like the first Vice President of the Republic of Texas, Mirabo Lamar, Colonel James Fannin, who stood and was massacred with his men at La Bahia, or even the first Secretary of War for the Republic of Texas, Thomas Jefferson Rusk. You think about all of those Tennessee volunteers who came here, and when you step up there on Rocky Top, as we affectionately call the University of Tennessee Knoxville campus, you understand the history. You understand the reason why we are called Tennessee Volunteers. The first president of the Republic of Texas, Sam Houston from Tennessee. 30 some odd members from Tennessee whose names are etched on the cenotaph, the memorial of those who laid down their lives at the Alamo after those 13 glorious days so that we could sing that song. And of course, being a former member of Congress, I share a little something with another former member of Congress. The person that history tells us was the last to die at the Alamo, a gentleman by the name of Davy Crockett. But it's not just that legacy of being born in Georgia and attending the University of Tennessee, it's the legacy of being a Black Republican. Our Republican Party of Texas was founded on Independence Day of 1867 by 150 Black men. Its first Black chairman was Norris Wright Cooney, a Black businessman from Galveston. We think about the legacy of early pioneers in Texas politics, such as State Senator Matthew Gaines, who was instrumental in the founding of Prairie View A&M University and Texas A&M University. State Senator Gaines is buried at Texas A&M University. Or how about G.T. Ruby? All these men who were born into slavery, but somehow they understood the liberty and freedom that was worth fighting for and standing up for here in Texas, so that those words of our state song would carry on throughout the ages. So now it is our time. It is our time to stand up and honor those words of Texas, our Texas, and to secure the future for our children and our grandchildren. To make sure that the growth, the opportunity, and the prosperity, the economic success that you see here in Texas continues on. To make sure that the rich blessings that we have of energy resources, not the subjection to the Green New Deal, that means that we stay energy independent and we fuel America so that we're not dependent on other nations that are our enemies. To make sure that we protect our borders, to ensure that Texas is for Texans, we have to secure that future. Secure the future and the safety and security of our children and grandchildren. We cannot live in a state that is the #1 state for human and sex trafficking in the United States of America. That's not how we protect our children and our legacy. Those are the things that we need to have in our leadership of this great Lone Star State to protect that legacy. There comes a time when a warrior understands that maybe he has to go back and pull out that sword and do the exact same thing that a 26-year-old did at the Alamo. Yes, William Barrett Travis, when he drew a line in the sand and he challenged the defenders of the Alamo to stand on the right side of that line. I am now drawing my sword, and I will draw that line in the sand. And I will ask you to stand with me to preserve the future, the legacy of Texas, to honor the words of our state song, to stand for something, or as my mother would say, not fall for anything. This is our moment in time. I have not been in elected political office for about a decade, but I can no longer sit on the sidelines and see what is happening in these United States of America, what is happening in the place that I call home, where my daughters will raise their families, where my young grandson, Jackson Bernard, will grow up as a proud Texan. It's time for Grandpa to step up and once again find his place on the ramparts of freedom and liberty, just like those Georgians and Tennesseans did many years ago for those 13 days at the Alamo. Join us in this fight. I am Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, proud son of Herman West and Elizabeth Thomas West, both buried in Marietta National Cemetery in Marietta, Georgia, because of their service to this nation. You have asked me to come back into service for God, for country, and for Texas, for a time such as this. And that's why I'm running to be your governor of the Lone Star State, so that we can protect and defend our home, the republic that we call Texas.